Hi, boys and girls. My name is Miss Jennifer. I am a teaching artist in the PACE Art program. I'm here today to connect what you are learning in your classroom to an art lesson. I am glad you could join me today. Today we will be learning about the sense of touch, the part of the body that we use to touch things, why nerves are an important part of how we feel things we touch, what is texture, how to create a drawing showing what texture looks like, and also we will be creating a drawing today using lines, shapes, and colors. Today you will need a piece of paper, either a black or a brown marker, but don't worry, if you don't have markers, you can use a black or brown crayon. And you will need a variety of crayons. So, boys and girls, we talked about the fact that we are going to be talking about things that we can use our hands to feel and we could touch. Here I have a piece of bark. Now, if I were to use my hands to feel this bark, there is something inside of my hands that will help me to be able to feel it. And that's little tiny nerves. And we have little nerves underneath our skin all over our body. Those little nerves send little messages to our brain and says, we're touching something. And let's see what it feels like when we touch it now. So I'm feeling it and it's feeling rough and sort of bumpy, a little scratchy. And so those little nerves are sending to my brain all of the things that I feel. Now, I want you to turn to your neighbor and I want you to remember in your little mind what you remember when you touched a tree's bark. How did it feel? Let's tell our neighbor that. Good job. So, if you said that it felt rough, you were definitely right. So now I have my bark, but I also have a picture of what bark looks like. Now notice, if I feel this picture, it no longer feels rough. It feels very smooth because it's on a picture. Let's rub the top of our desk. Our desk is smooth. That is a sense of touch. Good job. All right, and then the next one that I want to talk about is this one. Oops, I have it upside down. And what do you see here? Well, if you said a rock, you are correct. I'm going to feel my rock. And remember, I'm using my finger and all those little nerves are sending to my brain that this is a smooth rock. Now, not all rocks are smooth. Some are rough, some are sharp. Now, if you feel a rock, does that rock feel hot or cold? My rock feels cold. Is it hard? Is it kind of clunky? Of course it is. So, good job. Now my next one is something super, super soft. What do you think this might be, my friends? If you said cotton, you were right. And as I run my hands and I feel this cotton, my cotton feels very soft, very smooth, and very fluffy. So let's look at this picture. This is what cotton would look like. Now if I feel this picture, do you think it's soft and fluffy? No, it is not, but it still looks soft and fluffy. I have a really fun one for you next. And what do you think this might be? I don't know. Well, look at this. What do I have? I have a cactus. Is this cactus pokey? Yes, it is. Is it pointy? Yes, it is. Does it feel hard? Yes, it does feel hard. This is what all of these little parts of this cactus look like if you look at it in a picture. Is this picture pokey? Of course not, because it is on a picture. Now we have one more that we're going to talk about. And any idea what this might be? Well, if you said a piece of sandpaper, you are right. And this is what our sandpaper looks like. Now, if I touch this sandpaper, ooh, it's kind of scratchy. It's kind of sharp. Maybe a little rough and gritty, maybe sandy. Have you ever touched a piece of sandpaper before? What do you think it felt like? Let's tell our neighbor. Oh, those are some really good answers. Very good. All right, boys and girls. So as you can see, here are the different kinds of textures that I just showed you and talked to you about. And texture, of course, as we know, is something that we feel with our hands, with those little nerves that send signals to our brain. And we're going to take a little twist on this. We looked at pictures of texture, and we know, like for example, we know the one for the cactus is not picky because it's just a flat piece of paper. But if I were holding the cactus, then I would know that it is very picky and pointy. So let's think about this. If I have texture that we could feel, then we know that that is something that we are touching, right? So let's practice a little bit of touching. Here is my apron. I'm going to feel my apron. It feels a little smooth, but a little rough. Now I want you to take your hands and I want you to touch your shirt. How does that feel? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it bumpy? I bet you probably said it probably was smooth. All right. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take your shoe and I want you to feel your shoe. Now Miss Jennifer brought in a flip-flop, which you wouldn't have at school, but I could feel the texture on the bottom of this flip-flop. It is a little bumpy. Tell your neighbor what you think your shoe felt like. All right. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to touch your hair. So here is Miss Jennifer's hair, and I want to touch my hair. How did your hair feel? My hair felt so soft and it's so bouncy with all the curls that Miss Jennifer has. Tell your neighbor what your hair felt like. Awesome. Good job. Well, now what we're getting ready to do is we are going to actually start thinking about our texture and how we can make texture on a picture. If we draw the bark on a paper, that would be our texture. But we're going to turn it into a super big, awesome word. That is called visual texture. It is something that you see, and we use our drawing and coloring to make it look like it is real bark. And so that's what we are getting ready to do next. And we're going to do several of these different textures that we talked about today on our picture. And so now I'm getting ready. I have my picture in place. Remember, you get your paper. You'll need either your black or your brown marker and your variety of crayons. And let's get ready to start drawing. All right, boys and girls, so now we are ready to draw. And guess what? I have a surprise for you. And that surprise is we're going to have to figure out what our picture is going to be. We're going to draw it by using lines and shapes that we kind of connect together. And then you're going to have the surprise once we're finished to see what the picture is of. Here we go. So you have your white paper, and I want you to start at the very bottom of your paper, about this far. And we're going to use our wavy line. line. Now remember, that's our line that goes up and to the other side. So I started on this side, up and around to this side. All right, then we're going to go up to almost the middle of our paper. And we're going to put a dot on this side, just like that. And we're going to run our finger across to the other side, and we're going to put another dot. So now we have 2 dots. We're going to use our curve line next. So I'm going to start at this dot, and I'm going to go up and around to this side. Up and around, and I'm going to connect it to the other dot. We'll do this again. We'll start at this dot, and we'll go up and around and back. What does that look like? Well, if you said that looks like maybe a football, you are right. All right, now watch this. Now we're going to put another dot about right here on this side. We're going to use our curve line the same way. Curve line, and we'll do it the same way again. Curve line, just like this. Awesome. All right, now we're going to do the same thing on this side that we're going to do on this side, and again, we're using our curve line. So you're going to start about right here. You can leave a little space and a big old curve. And let's do the same thing. Leave a little space and a big old curve on the bottom. Good job. That looks nice. All right, so now I want to make another curve line at the bottom, but I want to leave some space, and then here we go. Bam! Another curve line, connecting it together. I'll do the same thing here. I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to go toward my football. Just like this. All right, and we're going to do something like that at the end. We're going to put a dot right here on this side. And it doesn't matter if your dots are not exactly where Miss Jennifer's are, or that yours looks a little different. That is okay, because it's still going to work out. And we'll put another little dot here. So now we have 1 dot on this side and 1 dot on that side. Again, we're going to use our curve line. We're going to start about right here, and we're going to go curve to the dot. And we're going to come about right here, now not too close to the end, and curve with the dot. Oop, to the dot. All right. Here we're going to go curve to the dot, and again curve to the dot. All right. And so what do you see? Well, let's keep on going. I'm going to make a curve here, and now we're just going to kind of draw it together. Curve, curve, and a curve, curve, because we know how to make our curves. And maybe we'll color in the inside of our curve. Now remember, you are using either your black or brown marker that you have, so just color it in. All right. Now, I'm going to move up to the top of my paper right here, and I want to make a big circle, just like this. All right, and so there we go. Now, we're going to draw something here. We're going to use our curve line again. We're going to draw a curve line up at the top, a curve line at the bottom. It doesn't matter exactly where they're at. That is fine. We're going to connect those 2 curve lines together with another curve line. Good job, boys and girls. Here, we're going to put another curve line, and it can go off the edge of your paper. And we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. All right, now looking at our picture, what do you think this is a picture of? Tell your neighbor what you think it is. Oh, I heard the answer. Oh, I heard the answer several different times. Awesome. This is a sea turtle. And a sun, the clouds, the sand, because the turtle lives in the water. Now let's make our water. We're going to use our wavy line, and here's one. You can make as many of these as you want. Now I'm going to connect it here to his fin because that's going to be the top of my water. And go ahead. If you want to make some more little waves, go right ahead. You can always add waves later also when we're finished drawing our picture. So the very first one that we're going to talk about as far as our texture, and remember we're turning it into visual texture. Texture that we see will be this one right here. This is the bark from our tree. And the way that we're going to do that is we're just going to kind of make wavy lines, and they can kind of curve here and there. We can put little straight lines just like this. Doesn't have to be perfect, just lines all together. We'll make it look like it is bark. So now I'm going to use that bark, and I want to use the bark on the turtle's shell. Now, think about this. We're going to add all those visual textures that we learned today, or the textures that we learned today, onto this picture. All right, so I'm going to start first, and I'm just going to draw some wavy lines. So just go ahead, get your marker. You can connect them together wherever you want, just like this. That's the big lines on our bark. Now going back to right here, we're going to now draw all these little wavy and curved lines. So here we go, and we have our little lines. Oop, not on his foot. And there's the bark of my tree, and you can always put more later. All right, so the next one that we're going to talk about are rocks. Our rocks, we're simply just going to put circles together for our rocks. And I want to use rocks on his fins. So these are like little rocks, smooth rocks, and you can put as many little smooth rocks as you want. And here we go. There are more. If you want to put one off to the side, you can. So notice how we're using our texture, and we're making it like the little details or the small little parts of our turtle. So wood for our bark, our rocks, and here is our next one. Our next one is our sandpaper. And for this one, we're just going to put dots that are really close to each other. And so down at the bottom for our sand, we're going to use that as our sandpaper. And so there we go. And you're going to do that all the way. And even if you have some little dashed lines in there, that is okay. You can put as many as you would like on your ground, just like that. And so now that is the sand on the bottom of our paper. Again, it doesn't feel like sand, but when we look at it with our eyes, it does look like sand. That is what we are doing today. We're turning what we see, or what we think it might be, into visual texture. All right, so the next one that we talked about today was cotton. And cotton is super easy because all you're going to do is just make all kinds of little wavy lines all over the place, just like that. Super easy. So we're going to use that in our cloud. And there we go. It doesn't have to be any kind of special way. Just make lines. Wavy lines, curvy lines will work. Awesome. Does that look like it would feel soft to you? Of course, because we just made visual texture. We made texture that you could see by simply using our marker to draw it. All right, and here we go. So we're going to go down to the bottom right here. And if you remember that cool little cactus, well, it looked like this. The little spikes had a circle, and then again we used our curved line. So we did curve, 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 curve. It doesn't matter which way your little lines go. If they go this way or that way, that will still work. And so now up to the circle, which is our sun, and we're going to use that visual texture right here that we actually made for our cactus little pickers. So we're going to start with our circle inside the sun. Remember, it doesn't matter which way you put your curves because all those little pickers just kind of went in all different directions. And here we go. We are circles and little curves all the way around. And you can make as many as you want. I think I'm going to make 3 for now. Look at your little pickers. Oh, those are amazing. That is our visual texture. They're not pokey anymore, but when we look at them, they still kind of look a little bit pokey or picky to us, right? Awesome. Now I have a surprise, another surprise. I have this little guy. Miss Jennifer, what is that? Well, this is actually part of a plant, and this is what the plant looked like when it had the flower. So when all of these flowers fell, you are left with this. Well, let's feel it. Ooh, I feel my little nerves sending a little message to my brain saying those are kind of stiff, kind of a little hard. We're going to use this to make our sun's rays. See how they kind of all just stick out everywhere like lines? We're going to make our lines along the outside of our sun, just like all of these little lines that are on this pokey little plant piece. Isn't that a beautiful little piece? And that is amazing. That tells me that you could take a walk outside, maybe on the playground, maybe at home. You can find different things, and then you can use your touch to feel what they feel like. This one feels pretty good. All right, if we look at this little stem part, it's very smooth. Sometimes things that you find will have more than one texture on them. All right, so now we have finished drawing our picture for today. You might want to use a little time to go back and maybe add a few things that you would like on your picture. Now, let's get our colors, and I'm going to just kind of spread them on my desk just like this so I can find them when I want them. And I'm going to start coloring with you. Now, you don't need to think about the color that the bark would be, or like the color that the little cactus little spikes were, or the sand. You can actually put this any color that you want. So basically, you're not really coloring the turtle the color that it normally is, unless you want to, but you're not even coloring the bark or the rocks the color that you may see them. I say, let's be creative, and let's use different colors and see how it turns out. And so I'm going to start coloring with you, but we're almost out of time for today, and so the rest of the picture you will color when you have extra time, either in class or at home. So let's start coloring. Pick the colors that you would like. I'm going to start off first, and I think that I want to use a brown. I'm going to start coloring my wood. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. You want to color very lightly when you color, so you might want to color the whole thing very lightly. But watch this. If you go back and you color a little bit darker right around the edge of your lines, or you trace over them just like this, notice something. They start to look like they have dark colors and light colors, and they kind of have what we call in art, they're kind of shaded. That means that you can kind of see the shadows that would be on my turtle's shell, or in our case, the pieces of wood that are on the bark. And so there you go. And I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm going to color all of my turtle's shell. All right, and so I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to let you continue working on your picture. Remember, if you trace those lines, then it looks like it's darker, and that's a pretty cool thing to do. You could also take another color and you can add more than one color together, just like this, and look how amazing that looks. So let's go ahead and we're going to stop for today, and I want you to remember, color this when you have extra time. So, boys and girls, now let's take a moment and let's look at our neighbor's work. Let's notice the things that are the same. How about things that are different? Thanks for joining me today. We have learned so many things. We learned about touch, nerves, texture, and how to make visual texture. We also learned how to create a drawing by using lines, shapes, and colors to show what texture looks like. As we go through our week, I want you to look around and I want you to find different kinds of texture. Let's use our hands. Let's feel what that feels like. And then maybe you could even share that with some of your friends or your family, what you found in the way of texture. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you next